In tonight's headlines, Belize's referendum on the ICJ through the eyes of artists, Minister Panton heads south for site tours, and we take a look at the development on the George Price Highway. These stories and more on this week's edition of Belize Now. Thanks for joining us on this Friday, March 1st, 2019. I am Erin Guzman. The Minister of State in the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Commerce, Honorable Tracy Panton, has been heading a delegation on site tours of companies in the Stann Creek district. The main objective of the tours was to get a better understanding and appreciation of the investments being made by these companies. Our team accompanied the delegation last Friday on one of their tours and has the following report.
The Stann Creek district is home to many of Belize's export industries such as citrus, banana, and aquaculture, which contribute significantly to Belize's gross domestic product. The Honorable Tracy Panton, along with a delegation from the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Commerce, members from the Belize Bureau of Standards, and the Investment Policy and Compliance Unit, conducted site tours of several agro-processing companies in the Stann Creek district during this month. While at the sites, the delegation was taken on tours of the facilities and discussed with exporters and investors any challenges that they face in doing business in Belize.
It's easy for us to sit in the office, but when you come out, you have a whole different perspective as to the level of investments that are going on. The purpose of the tours is for us as a ministry, including Beltrade, to meet with our clients who are part of the government's incentive regimes, to understand what unique issues or challenges they may be facing, members of the productive sector, but also to look for opportunities where we can help them to access new markets for Belizean-made products.
One of those products is shrimp. Exports in this industry have significantly declined since 2014 from an $88 million earner to now just a little over $5 million. This decline was largely due to disease. But as we learned on the tour of Aquatech Shrimp Farm, located off the Southern Highway, investors in this industry have been working with partners locally and abroad on new techniques to develop their investment.
When we came into Belize, when we were trying to buy this farm, about 2 years back, the whole industry was almost not producing anything. But we understand, looking at things across the world, in any livestock industry, you always have a cycle of something new coming up, but you always find solutions to bring back that industry back. The advantages we saw that we could bring onto the table in growing shrimp, one is with our network across the globe where people have gone through different diseases but have found solutions to do it. So we were able to bring in that expertise from outside of the country who could help do things differently.
We are continuously bringing the new technology that will change the complete post-larval industry in this region. So the world-class, the hatchery we are expanding into, that will definitely contribute more and more into the expansion of the production into Belize.
The need for policies to assist production. That was one of the main topics discussed by the shrimp producers. Consultant David Kawahigashi said that continued collaboration between government and the production sector is needed, particularly for support in the areas of importing production materials, genetic stocks, and marketing in the industry.
Trying to streamline the process of importation of products because Belize, the shrimp industry in Belize is not developed, where you can just go to the store and buy a lot of equipment or materials that you need. The other is to assist with the importation of genetic stocks that would function better than the local stocks here, that would help to improve their productivity. I think because in Belize we have a higher cost of production than other countries when it comes to labor, electricity, just cost of supplies, things like that. If we can find specialty markets to target our Belize shrimp to gain a higher value, that would help the farmers as well.
Minister Panton affirmed that the government is developing policies to assist these companies. Currently under review is an investment policy and strategy, and just this week, the ministry launched the new national trade policy, which looks at the critical areas for each sector.
My ideal situation would to see that all the products that we import into the country, that there would be a local substitute, so we can reduce the levels of imports, buy more at home, produce more at home, and increase our export levels.
Although there is a lot to be done, the producers have acknowledged the input thus far from the government.
The government is very cooperative, and we've seen it's a continuous improvement, and then the industry is reviving from the disease, and I think it's a good path forward for us to go, and government is very phenomenal in helping us through that whole process.
With the support of government, the Ministry of Trade, Ministry of Agriculture, especially Baha, we are always been able to stay up front with the new technology. And
I think the combination of these new techniques and collaboration with the government should enable the country to produce even better, even more, and to be competitive in the global market.
Honorable Panton said that she's amazed by the level of input she saw by the different companies while on the tours.
There's a great sense of pride that we get from these workers, but also knowing that we have the capacity to punch above our weight as a small country. We know that the food supply is going to be one of the biggest challenges in the future, and we have a unique opportunity here in Belize to be able to fill that gap. And so all that we can do to continue to support the productive sector is absolutely important, and to create that environment for these investments to have a return on their investment and to expand the product base.
The Ministry of Investment, Trade and Commerce is committed to sustaining economic growth and enhancing the quality of life through people and enterprise. For Belize Now, I'm Miriam Longsworth.
The delegation also visited Texwell Limited, Marie Sharp's Fine Food Limited, Belize Food Products Limited, Citrus Company of Belize Limited, Belize Citrus Feed Limited, Valley Manufacturing Company Limited, Citrus Growers Association, and Pineapple and Soursop Farms. February 28, 2019 marked a major milestone for the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Commerce, and by extension, the government of Belize, as it launched Belize's first national trade policy. The policy, which was approved by Cabinet in November 2018, was developed through the Ministry's Directorate General for Foreign Trade, DGFT, with technical assistance from the Commonwealth Secretariat and in collaboration with public, private, and civil society partners. It is structured around four main pillars: institutional capacity strengthening, enhancement of supply and productive capabilities, increased market access and entry, and trade facilitation. The Minister of State with responsibility for investment, trade, and commerce says the national trade policy is very significant.
We have been working on this trade policy, which is long overdue, for some 2 years with our partners in the private sector, NGO community, certainly both political parties, because it's important that we have a framework that guides not only trade development but the trade facilitation processes, and that we can be better prepared and equipped to respond to shifts in the global trade trends that affect the entry and access of Belizean goods and services to the global marketplace.
The trade policy is aligned with development strategies such as the Horizon 2030 and the Growth and Sustainable Development Strategies. It is expected that once implemented, the policy will significantly contribute to a competitive economy and to inclusive and sustainable socio-economic development.
The ultimate goal is, first and foremost, that we can minimize our imports by having Belizean goods and services that can substitute for what we have on our shelves, etc., for Belizean consumption, and then also to find areas where we can have a competitive advantage in niche markets, so that we can also get our goods and services to the global marketplace and increase our export earnings. It's all about growing the national economy, and we can only do so if we have a systematic, holistic, comprehensive approach that has the buy-in from all the key stakeholders to move this agenda forward.
The road ahead remains, and the road ahead includes an effective implementation within a timely period. We are optimistic because of the involvement that we have garnered over the past 2 years to get here, that the public sector, the private sector, and the students from the various universities are all aware of what we're doing here, and they have all committed to assisting going forward, because that is what it will take for us to be able to effectively implement this policy. That all stakeholders needs to be involved. Because at the end of the day, government is not the one who trades. The private sectors are, the public, so the general public engages in business activity, and at the end of the day, we want to see that business activity leave the shore of Belize into our regional trading areas such as Central America, Mexico, CARICOM, and beyond.
As mentioned earlier, technical assistance was provided by the Commonwealth Secretariat via the Hub and Spokes program. The program is an innovative aid for trade initiative that helps enhance trade capacity in Africa, Caribbean, and Pacific ACP group of states. It is a joint program of the European Union, Commonwealth Secretariat, ACP Group Secretariat, and the International Organization of Francophonie. Under the program, trade advisors, the spokes, strengthen and enhance the capacity of government ministries, while regional trade advisors, the hubs, provide assistance to major regional organizations. We'll have more stories after the break. Stay with us.
Voter registration continues countrywide at the Elections and Boundaries offices. Register today to vote in the ICJ referendum on the 10th of April 2019. For registration information and locations, visit www.elections.gov.bz.
True or false? Belize has a great chance of winning at the ICJ. True. We have the 1859 Treaty, the 1931 Exchange of Notes, and the fact that we gained independence in 1981 after over 150 years of owning from the Rio Hondo to the Sarstoon. Guatemala never occupied any of Belize. All of these things are 100% in our favor, and the ICJ will consider these when making their decision.
Be informed. Visit our website and social media pages.
The government of Belize is upgrading and transforming the infrastructure network of roads and bridges across the country. The nationwide transformation is having a major impact on the economy and lives of Belizeans everywhere. This week, we bring you a snippet of the transformational upgrade of the Roaring Creek Bridge and the George Price Highway in the western part of the country.
Anyone who has traveled lately from Belmopan towards San Ignacio will know there is major work taking place on the George Price Highway, including the much-needed replacement of the Roaring Creek Bridge and reshaping of the dangerous Z-curve. This week, we accompanied Minister of Works, Honorable Rene Montero, and CEO Errol Gentle as they toured and inspected ongoing works in that area.
The Roaring Creek Bridge is an extremely narrow bridge, and so the movement of vehicular traffic is a bit restricted. But the main problem we had there was when it had to do with flooding. Whenever we have the rainy season and there's a flood, then that bridge is impassable. The new structure, that massive structure that you have seen there, is well above what we know the river used to raise. There is absolutely no way flooding will affect that bridge.
It is actually 11 feet higher than the present bridge. So at no time we will have that bridge underwater. It is a bridge guaranteed for 100 years. We guarantee that bridge we are getting value for money.
Simultaneously, but under a separate contract, the highway is being transformed from that bridge at Roaring Creek all the way to Blackman Eddy up to the Iguana Creek Bridge on the Spanish Lookout Access Road.
Here we are getting also value for money. This road will be second to none. It will be built to international standard, and it will have all the safety features that an international road has. Especially it has an area for pedestrian crossing, and it will have a pedestrian crossing especially near the schools and any clinics around the place.
The highway itself and the widening of the highway, I know there's many people who are a bit concerned with movement of pedestrian along that highway. But the highway is wide enough. I think we have been making enough provision for both the movement of vehicular traffic as well as pedestrian. And so the shoulder of the highway, there will be enough space for pedestrian to walk along freely without any problem.
Then just outside Tea Kettle, there's the reshaping of the Z-curve.
And we know how narrow it used to be. We know we had problems there. There was not only traffic congestion, but also there were some accidents along that way, along this area. But now with the widening of this road, I mean, there'll be absolutely no problem coming along this road.
And even as this portion of the highway is being transformed, a new contract has been signed for yet another portion.
Just last week, we signed the third road project, which will be from the entrance of Iguana Creek to Santa Elena, stopping at the roundabout by Linz. And that is actually for 18 months. It's similar to this. It will have all the safety features, and it will be international standards, and we can guarantee you that we'll be getting value for money. But it won't end there. After that, we have a fourth project that will take us to the border, way to the border, Becqueville border.
So that's the comprehensive plan, but what about the execution?
The work is impressive, and I am extremely happy with the progress of the work. We are a bit delayed, and for numerous reasons, but the quality is there. We have absolutely no problem with getting quality for money.
We promise and we are delivering. This is a government that walks the talk, and no country can develop unless we have good infrastructure, and that's what we are doing.
For Belize Now, I'm Miriam Longsworth.
The entire project from Roaring Creek to Santa Elena, including the new Roaring Creek Bridge, totals $68 million Belize dollars. On Thursday, February 21st, a meeting was held in Belize City for Mesoamerican Disaster Risk Management. The Mesoamerican Integrated Risk Management Network is a harmonized platform with information on regional environmental threats and vulnerabilities with the aim of reducing the impacts for the countries involved. Our Belize Now team spoke with key participants at the event.
Well, the Mesoamerican Integration Development Project is a platform composed of 10 countries, from Mexico all the way to Colombia and the Dominican Republic. Countries have decided to integrate in this platform for providing solutions to common problems.
I think it's very key for Belize, and we participate in Mesoamerica not only alone, but of course with other countries in the region and so on, countries that have suffered disasters before, and in our case that we've been so blessed with not suffering disasters. We are ourselves knowing that one of these days it could be our turn, so we need to be participants and also very big supporters of the project.
One objective of the Mesoamerican Integrated Risk Management Network is to strengthen the capacities of national institutions for risk management. During the meeting, computers and mapping equipment that may be used in disaster response efforts were handed over to the Minister of Transport and NEMO, Honorable Edwin Castro.
The donation of computers for accurate mapping and taking the data and census data for the different government departments. So in terms of disaster, we know exactly what areas that got affected and how we can best coordinate the different ministries through NEMO.
Okay, tell us more about how this equipment will help in disaster management and response efforts.
Well, in terms of getting the data and put the data in place, we'll be able to focus, get the information from, let's say, agriculture where there's flooded areas, farmers affected. We'll be able to get those from the Ministry of Education in terms of school that has been affected and what we need to do to get them back on track. So we need to coordinate all the different government ministry in NEMO to make sure that we can function much more effectively.
The Mesoamerican Integration and Development Project is a forum for high-level political dialogue, consensus, cooperation, and joint efforts to attract resources to strengthen Mesoamerican integration and development with the aim of improving the quality of life of its 226 million inhabitants. Stay tuned for more stories after the break.
True or false? You can vote in a referendum even if you don't register. False. You must be registered to be able to vote. If you want to vote in a referendum, register by March 10th, 2019.
Be informed. Visit our website or social media pages.
On Saturday, February 23rd, the National Institute of Culture and History, NICH, hosted its annual Street Art Festival in Belize City. Our Belize Now team traveled to the Old Capital to get in on the day's excitement. Here's more.
At the end of February, Albert Street in downtown Belize City is transformed into an art showcase for the annual Street Art Festival. Through the efforts of the National Institute of Culture and History, NICH, artists, artisans, and musicians are given an opportunity to share their work with Belizeans through this event.
NICH is in charge of supporting artists on a whole, and the entire Street Art Festival, as you can see, is an avenue, and all the artists are out here to showcase their art. This is our 9th edition of the Street Art Festival, so we've been doing this for 9 years. And every year it gets bigger and bigger, more and more people are coming out, and the support is amazing for our artists. So we're very happy about that. That's why NICH continues this. This is one of our signature events, and one of the events that NICH will definitely continue to do.
In addition to its usual attractions, this year's Street Art Festival also featured an exhibition game of the traditional Mayan ball game, Pok Tapok. A crowd favorite and a main feature of the day is the annual Sidewalk Chalk competition, where artists get to show off their skills real time.
We just want to ensure that kids have a platform. Well, not just kids, just artists in general, that they have a platform to come out and showcase their talent. We always have the call for artists, and it's always paint on canvas. So I just think it's a great opportunity to work on a different kind of medium, you know. It's a real hands-on kind of environment, and I just love it.
This year's competition focused on an important upcoming event, Belize's referendum on the ICJ.
All the kids are doing their artwork surrounding the ICJ, how they feel about it, whether it's yes or no, if they feel anxious, if they feel happy. You know, we just want to get their thoughts of it on the situation. I feel like we always ask adults and we forget to ask the kids how they feel about this. So this is a great chance for them to express themselves.
As referendum day nears, the government's public awareness campaign continues to use every opportunity to educate and prepare Belizeans to participate in this historic decision. The Street Art Festival presented a fun way to do so.
As you know, on April 10, 2019, we're going to be making a big decision on whether or not we want to take the Belize-Guatemala dispute to the International Court of Justice. And the public awareness campaign is trying to be everywhere in all different forms to reach different people, because learning takes different ways. So we decided to partner with Niche to spread awareness in a very creative way that will get conversation going and spread information.
As we walked around to view the adorned sidewalk, we had a chance to hear from a few participants about their pieces.
I didn't want to imply that anyone should vote yes or no, so I took a neutral stance and did a piece that depicted simply the problem rather than what you should decide the solution is. So I did a piece with a toucan, the national bird of Belize, and a quetzal, the national bird of Guatemala, both on a perch on a tree, and they're trying to get a piece of the Belize map. So they're both trying to get their piece of it.
The elephant in the room, which was the problem, the elephant in the room, something that you don't want to talk about, something you don't want to deal with, and so we portray the ICJ as that. And we have the 4 different characters as people, Belizean people, representing them as neutral, and how different people look at the problem, the ICJ problem. People are interested, some people are stubborn, some people just aren't educated about the problem, and all we want is peace, and it's just depending on that outcome of that day, we'll see if we get peace.
My piece basically shows the struggle that Belize and Guatemala went through. That is the rope, and the rope signifies 2 things. It describes the struggle, and it describes how the size of the country. So Belize's end of the rope is much more smaller than Guatemala's side of the rope, and Belize have a smaller land and country, and Guatemala has a bigger country, so that is why I chose to do that. And when the rope pop, it basically shows how they keep their side of the rope, so like Belize keep their side of the country.
Passers-by stopped in to view the artwork and kept the area abuzz with awe, excitement, and discussions. Liana and Micah told us what messages they hoped visitors left with.
It's a real problem, and it's not going to be solved unless we make a real decision based upon what we know, right? And I hope that they try to get more informed about it so they can make the right decision.
I want them to vote. That's one thing I want them to do, vote, because us as adolescents, we don't have that opportunity to vote, and you guys have that opportunity to vote, and so don't take it for granted, because it is a problem that all of us have to deal with, and if you guys don't deal with it, then we'll end up dealing with it.
They spark awareness, they spark the need to learn and ask more questions. It really shows that people are becoming really engaged with the issue, and as you might know, the theme is your appointment with history, so we're really excited to see the artwork that we've seen thus far.
For Belize Now, I am Janelle Mencias.
A social protection conference under the theme, The Role of Labor in Social Protection, was held on February 25th and 26th in Belize City. The conference was the second of a 4-part series of conferences focused on strengthening specific areas of Belize's social protection system. It was held in collaboration with the social sector ministries of government and local and international development partners, including UNICEF, the International Labour Organization, and the World Bank. The conference was attended by stakeholders from both the public and private sectors. Minister of State in the Ministry of Labor, Local Government and Rural Development, Dr. Honorable Carla Barnett, explained that social protection is a multifaceted approach that requires collaboration from all sectors.
Most important commitment that we need to get from everybody is one of collaboration and cooperation. If we can work together, if we can bring the private sector on board to work with us, and if we open up ourselves and work willingly and openly with the private sector, it becomes easier for us to set up a system where available jobs can be matched with available workers. So that first and foremost is that commitment to improve collaboration and cooperation.
We are looking at many different factors that influences labor and the labor force, and so we want to take a key look at those in the upcoming discussions. So for example, we have some presentations from the Social Security Board on the changing nature of work and how the reforms of Social Security will will contribute to supporting the changing nature work and exploring some of those issues in there. We also have presentations from the Statistical Institute of Belize on the labor force survey that they do every year. Some of those information are glaring, while we are seeing, or we have seen, a decline in the unemployment rate from 2014 to now. I think it was about 14% then, and then it's at 9.5% up to last year. There is a decline. We want to understand what is the reason that's spurring that decline and how we can tap into that a little bit more and leverage those factors.
Over the 2 days, presentations were done by various organizations, including the Ministry of Human Development, Social Transformation and Poverty Alleviation, UNICEF, and the Belize Employment and Training Center, among others. And that's it for this edition of Belize Now. If you want to provide feedback or send in your comments, please feel free to email us at info@pressoffice.gov.bz or visit our Facebook page and let us know what you think. We look forward to hearing from you. Have a great week. Until next time.